What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome to r/AskReddit with my terrible artwork, where today, we all might as well be in an unaired episode of The Office. Okay, so the AskReddit question was, do bosses like Michael Scott actually exist? And if you worked for one, what's your craziest story? And the reason I did this one again so soon is simply because we've spent the last couple of weeks packing and getting ready to move, and this last weekend moving, and I just needed to find a bunch of easy stuff that I could throw together for videos, so yeah. Worked with a genuine Michael Scott, i.e. a nice, well-meaning person, but who just did some absurd things. We had kidnapping drills one day, where we learned how to not be kidnapped. Notably, this was a regular, boring office in a regular, boring suburb. No reason why kidnapping would be on anyone's radar. He and several of the guys randomly broke out into a push-up contest. Again, white-collar office, middle-aged dudes in khakis. Couldn't remember the nationality of our Hispanic colleague. Tried to learn Spanish to make her feel special when she returned from maternity leave. One, what he learned was not Spanish, and two, she was from Portugal. She knew like 5 words of Spanish. Disappeared for 4 days. No call, no email, wouldn't respond to any of our attempts to reach him. Finally, someone drove out to his house to make sure he was alive. He was. He'd just forgotten to tell us he was taking the week off and then lost his phone in a lake. There were many moments like these. Great boss, genuinely cared about everyone in the company. Occasional moments of brilliance where he really got things done. But oh my gosh, so many moments of ridiculousness. That sounds like a wonderful boss. Still though, that's... just have a random push-up contest in the middle of the office. I don't know why that reminds me of this, but back when I used to work in radio, when I went in for the job interview at the second station that I worked at, I was all dressed up in a suit and a tie and everything else, and I was walking around, and my boss made the comment about, you're a little overdressed for the place. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of getting that feeling, so, I'm guessing I should dress down a little bit when I come in, and he's like, oh my gosh, yes, dress down. Dress way down. This is radio. We're lucky if half the people even come into work having bathed that morning. And that always stuck with me. I used Michael Scott as a reference point for an old boss of mine from the moment I started working there. He made Chewbacca noises on the regular because of one of my coworkers' names sort of vaguely sounded like Chewbacca. It didn't. Used voice to text extremely loudly in his office for no reason to send really personal messages. Got really excited and wore a specific vest anytime we had after-work outings scheduled. Shouted the same, 7 references to old movies and extremely awkward hip-hop song quotes 100 times a day, and insisted on greeting all of our international coworkers very loudly in their language. They all speak perfect English, of course, looking around for approval afterward, and then fully giggling at everyone's French accents on conference calls. He also told me a lot about an improv show he did for a full year after it happened. That said, he had all the good parts too. He never hesitated to go to the mat for any of us, whether we deserved it or not. He gave really sage business advice and great examples of how to face challenges out of absolutely nowhere. And he came to every community play I did in the 4 years I worked for him, and told everyone else in the office how good I was in it for the following month and chastised them for not coming. When things got really serious or bad in my life, he couldn't have been more kind, helpful, and supportive. Honestly, probably the best boss I'll ever have. There's a difference in management styles between where you have someone that sits back and someone that leads. And in this case, it sounds like that was a leader. You're very lucky. My last boss, I respected him to the ends of the earth. Serious at times and would get on my case when I'd done something wrong and deserved it, admittedly, yes, but extremely caring, fun to joke around with, willing to listen when there was a problem that I couldn't solve, and frankly, I viewed him as a mentor in many ways. Even came to my wedding and gave us a gift that we've used many times since then. Never did anything Michael Scott-like, though. Did some weird things every so often, but no real, Michael Scott-level antics. We had an anonymous feedback program at work, and our boss was livid with the results, particularly with several comments that he frequently lost his temper in meetings and would yell at us. The more he talked about how incorrect and unfair and hurtful these comments were, the redder and angrier he got until he finally pounded the table and shouted, "I do not scream in meetings, okay?" Was he really that just completely self-unaware that he didn't realize the hypocrisy of what he was doing in that exact moment? He wanted a pomegranate for lunch, and they were out of season, but that didn't stop him from sending me on a quest to every grocery store in town in search of a pomegranate. Multiple produce guys laughed at me, but that was the easiest $13 an hour I've ever made. My gosh, when pomegranates are out of season, they are impossible to find. Why a pomegranate? Why was he so insistent on pomegranate? My boss used to carry around a backpack full of hammers, and if you fell asleep at your desk, he started banging a hammer on your desk until you woke up. And then he would autograph the hammer and give it to you as a gift. I can't tell if that would be like a hostile workplace environment or something like that, but that's crazy. I'd still frame that hammer though. That's kind of a badge of honor. My boss is certainly Michael Scott-esque. When I first started, I was essentially Pam as well, since I was both receptionist and his assistant to some extent. My favorite story was back when we were prepping for a conference. Some context, he's terrible with the English language in general and will mangle phrases and descriptions to no end. How the turntables. So, on a group call, he kept talking about wanting a golden hamster ball to do giveaways with. Was raving about how great it would be to be spinning around while people walked by. All the while, everyone on the call was just sitting in confused silence. However, by that point, I had become so good at decoding his nonsense that I knew he was referring to a gold raffle cage and sent him an image privately asking if that's what he was thinking. To this day, he still talks about the fact I can read his mind and must be psychic. And he still refers to it as a hamster ball. All in all, he's a pretty nice guy and a solid boss. Hired me based on a gut feeling and has been decent to me ever since. I think I knew it would be a good fit when during the interview, he tried to tell me about the 4 pillars of the company and forgot one. Told me later that it was knowledge. Aw. Yeah, I could see Michael Scott doing that. Although it would be a lot more animated and loud in the process of doing so. That was r/AskReddit, and if you want a playlist of more stories with funny office hijinks, then go ahead and click the link right here. Or if you want to see more funny, badly drawn Reddit, go ahead and click the link right here. Now you guys stay safe, stay healthy. I will see you all on Monday. Until then, stay beautiful, people.